Hello everyone and welcome back to another Minecraft update video. This is Snapshot 18w48a and we are here on the main menu because in the background you will see that the panorama has changed and we are actually looking at a new village that can be found in the plains biome. 1.14 is going to be the pillage and the village update, and we've seen a lot of the pillager stuff. Now we have an update to the village being introduced to the game, and with this comes a new splash screen for the main menu background. I was also sent this by David Quintana on Twitter, so thank you for sharing this. I'll put a link to it in the description box down below. It's taken the 6 images that make up the panorama image, put them into a browser window, and you can actually freely explore the image, which is a lot of fun. And when we zoom in here, we can see that one of the villagers has a new skin. Unfortunately, those villager skins are not actually in this snapshot as of yet. So we have the regular villagers for now, but what we do have is a new look for the village in the plains biome. This is the only one to get an aesthetic overhaul at the moment, but as you can see, these buildings are a lot prettier, and I think after looking around at each of these that this is really a step in the right direction. Many of the tricks here aren't too advanced, but the shapes of the building and the things going on with decorating them looks so much better than what we previously had. And there are now pens in the villages as well that have animals inside of them. There's also stacks of hay bales, and there are a few other things added that make this a much more interesting place to come and get resources from when you're exploring the world. As you'll see, there are some cows and pigs inside of this pen here. They actually spawned in with the village, so I believe this is a feature that they will be inside of these pens. And there is another one over here. This one, as you can see, has pigs and sheep. There's also a little pool of water. You may notice that there is no longer black wall on top of these posts for lighting, and sometimes these pens will also spawn in without any animals at all. Oh, and I've just noticed they have a fence gate for getting in and out. The village structures have been migrated to structure files, which means that we're going to be able to load them up and know the names of each of these buildings. So we will do that later on in this video, have a closer look at them. For now, I just want to show you some of the new blocks you'll be able to find inside the village. Over here we have the lectern. This grand building with the pigs out the back has a smoker inside of it. I've heard rumours that smokers will be for cooking food, so the fact that there's pigs out the back certainly would suggest that. However, this block still doesn't have a GUI. This building makes use of some white clay and it looks very pretty. Inside of it though, you will find a brewing stand. Then we have this interesting building with the yellow and white wall out the front. When we go inside, we find ourselves a fletching table. You will also find quite a few buildings like this that simply have a bed and a chest with some loot inside of it. And last of all, we have the blacksmith building, which has the grindstone out front. This actually has a new texture, doesn't it? I remember this being lighter, smoother, a lot more plain, but check this out. When we right click on it, we now have an interface for this block. So what does the grindstone do? It does repairs and disenchantments. Now, you used to be able to go into a crafting grid and combine two weapons, tools, bows or armor together, and you would be able to get one back that was repaired out of the two that you put in there. That's now been migrated to this individual block, and when we put these in, just like before, you actually get a little bit of a bonus for repairing it. So the durability of these two added is slightly lower than what you get out of here. And you can do that with all sorts of different things. So we've got 10 and 30. You can see when repaired they become 44. Now this can also be used for disenchantments, for which we're supposed to get XP. So I've got a iron sword here with sharpness, and we can take out a regular iron sword and we get a teeny tiny bit of XP from that. Now I've also got a diamond pick with curse of vanishing, and as you can see, those types of enchantments, the red ones, will actually stay on here and you don't get any XP. But I've also got one with fortune free and curse of vanishing, and so it will take off the fortune free but keep the other one on, and you can see that time we actually got a lot more XP. So I've given myself fortune enchantment level 255 to see if level influences this, and also mending to see if mending is more valuable than fortune is. So let's see how much XP. Yep, it seems like the amount of levels will contribute to how much of this you get back. And I've reset my XP, and let's put mending in here, and you can see that mending is worth more than fortune free was. And if you didn't know how to craft a grindstone, this is the recipe. I can't actually remember if this was in before or not, but it makes use of the new stone slab, which is not interchangeable with another type of slab. However, the wood can be interchanged with different types. If you've ever used a fishing farm or a mob grinder, then you'll know you can accumulate a lot of useless enchanted items which now have a use. With a grindstone, this can become an XP farm. I also wanted to put a book in here and see what it would turn into. It goes from an enchanted book back to a regular book, and you get some XP for doing that as well. Now, the XP values are probably hard-coded into the game, as I couldn't find them in any JSON file inside of the game's files. But obviously, as we've seen, there are different values for different types of enchantments and levels. My friends, what you are looking at right now is not the Java edition of the game, but I also wanted to mention there's a couple of discoveries in the Bedrock edition of the game which got a new beta. One of them is that you can now put lava inside of cauldrons and it becomes a light source as well. I'm hoping this will come to Java soon. It's not in it in this update, but I think this is fantastic. What I really want to do though is throw an item into it. And did it actually destroy it? Yes, it did. So that's a new type of trash can. Really cool stuff. And also the barrel block on Java edition has a little bit of a secret that someone shared with me. So the image on your screen are files extracted from inside the Bedrock game itself, and as you can see it's labelled as the fish barrel and there are fish inside of it, so this could potentially be what the barrel block is for. It could be for storing your fish. So back here on the Java edition of the game, unfortunately we don't have that just yet, but I'm sure we'll see it soon. There's also something I missed from a previous snapshot. If we press F3, you will now see that light has been separated into two categories. There is client light and there's server light, and there's not much else to say about it at the moment. In just a moment we're going to jump into a flat world and check out the village buildings one by one, loaded from the structure files. But first of all, I'm reading about a couple of things we haven't seen yet so far, and this is one of them. Flower beds will now be found in villages. This is another one I've read of. A centerpiece for the town with a tree and a couple of hanging bells as well. I believe this still has no functionality. The third and final thing I've read about are these little market stalls. You can see this one also has a bell as well. For the next part of this video, we're going to load up structures inside of Minecraft from the Minecraft game itself. This is the structures folder within the game, and there is one called village. Inside of here we will find 3 different categories, and I want to show you all of this because we're not going to go through every single file. Inside of common there is well bottom and a folder for animals. This is how I'm guessing it puts those animals into their pens. We will check out a couple of those. We also have one called decays right here, which is simply grass 9x9, 11x13. This is mysterious, definitely going to have to load one up and see what they are about. Then we have the folder plains, and this is for the biome type. So as more biome types get added, like the savanna or the desert, we should see some more folders here. And if we go inside, you'll see that there is the plains lamp file and then 5 different folders. And there's a lot of stuff inside of this. For example, houses. Look at how many different houses there are. There are 8 different types of small house. So we're not going to load up every single one of these, but we will be checking them out. Then we have streets, which I'm not going to load anything from because I believe these are just the path blocks. We then have Terminators. I have no idea what this is. We will find out, of course. And then we have town centres, which I believe we just looked at a moment ago with that tree and the bell. And last of all, we then have villagers, and this has all the villager professions. So I believe this is the way the structures actually spawn the villager entity in. They just refer to these files, so we're not going to load any of those. Looks like I picked out the boring stuff first of all. Here we have the well bottom from the common folder, and this has a jigsaw block that I would guess puts the top of the well on top of here. Then we have cows and horses, which just have 2 jigsaw blocks. I was sort of expecting to see the entities out of those. Again, I'm still not really sure on how this stuff works. And then we have the decays, which was really uninteresting. It literally just is a field of 9x9 grass, or this one over here, for example, is 11x13. So now for some mildly interesting stuff, and then the houses folder, which is stretching off way beyond my render distance. There are many buildings to check out. This is the Plains lamp, then we have the Plains accessory, which is the flower box, and then we have 3 types of animal pens, and it looks like these things will call in animals and other features, like I think I saw one, there it is, for trees to grow inside of the pens. And you can see this one over here has the water like we saw in the village before. First building is the Armourer House, and inside here we can find some bricks on the ground, and look at that, a blast furnace is in here as well. Then we have the Plains big house with not too much in it to talk about. However, when we look on the inside, you'll notice there is a jigsaw block over there. That is to summon in a villager that will stand above it. There's also one on this side over here. Then we have the Plains Butcher House. You can see there is a little pen for animals out here. If we go on into the inside, there is a smoker once again, and what kind of looks like a place to sit down and eat. This building is the Plains Cartographer, and inside of it, check it out, there is a cartographer's table. This one is known as the Fisher Cottage. And if you remember earlier in the video, we suspected barrels had something to do with fish. I think this could be confirmation of that. There are barrels all over the place here. This one is the Fletcher House. We actually saw this earlier on. If we go inside, there is the fletching table. Then we have your typical flat farming block. And then here we have 2 library buildings. This first one was so big I loaded up the second, and that's actually the one that we had seen before with the lectern inside. But if we go inside of this one, you'll see there are actually 2 lecterns in here, as well as some bookshelves and a way up to the 2nd floor. This one with the white terracotta is a mason's house, and if we go inside we will find some clay and some terracotta, and look at that, a stonecutter is in here. So this is a Plains medium house. There isn't really anything special about this one, and this is another Plains medium house design. We then have what I called the markets with the bell. This is actually known as a meeting point, and there are 2 of them, only 4 and 5. Occasionally these things are actually labelled like that rather than starting with number 1. Then we have the shepherd's house. This looks a little similar to something we had seen already, but if we go into the inside you can see there's actually the loom block inside of here. That actually makes a lot of sense because the shepherd, the sheep, the wall is used for the banners. Yes, I'm sure you get it. We have the small house number 1 type right here, and then the number 2 type as well. Nothing too much to comment about the insides. Now this is the most exciting of all, I think. We have stables over here, and this is a really terrific design. I am liking how this looks. In fact, there are 2 of them in total, so I made sure to get the other one in here as well. As you can see, this one uses clay, and overall it is a little bit smaller. Then we have the tannery. There are cauldrons out the front filled up with water, and on the inside another cauldron and a chest. This is the Plains Temple. This one is labelled as 3, the next one is labelled as 4. That's the classic temple design, or church as it's often called, that we have known for a long time, and both of these have blaze rods. I knew I was going to say the wrong thing then. They have brewing stands inside of them. Last of all, we have the Plains Toolsmith. Pretty plain, except there is a smithing table inside of it. Otherwise, it's a bit lacking on the interiors. And I say last of all, we've already seen this one, right? This is the weaponsmith, and this one has the grindstone. And last of all, we have the Terminators. There are 4 of these. They seem to interact with streets, and they're probably for functional purposes. Then we have things from the Town Centres folder. We have the Plains Fountain right here. We have a meeting point 1, meeting point 2 over here, and this is meeting point 3. And I'm guessing probably each town or each village actually has one of these, and then these jigsaw blocks help it create the streets and all of the other buildings that come off of this. There were also some loot tables related to the chests that you find inside of these buildings, but none of them had anything really worth commenting on, nothing special at all. And that actually leads us to the end of this video. Wow, it was quite a long one, right? If you enjoyed it, then leave a like. As always, thank you for doing that. It supports the channel, and your support is appreciated. And I will, of course, be seeing you next week, hopefully, with another Snapshot video. So make sure you're subscribed if you want to keep up to date with Minecraft 1.14. But that's it from me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.